He was just 25 years old, but his mind was sharper than most men twice his age. Ethan Carter was not the type of guy you'd notice in a crowd. He didn't wear flashy watches or drive exotic cars. He didn't post selfies from luxury vacations or drop motivational quotes on his social media. In fact, his Instagram was private. No one really knew what he was doing, and that's exactly how he liked it. Because while others were busy showing off, Ethan was quietly building a life that required no validation, no claps, and no applause. Born in a rough neighborhood in Birmingham, UK, Ethan saw the fake side of success very early. People around him spent money they didn't have to impress people they didn't even like. His father worked night shifts just to keep food on the table, while others in the area gambled their earnings on looking rich. Ethan learned early that being loud wasn't a sign of power. It was usually a mask for insecurity. While other kids his age chased popularity, Ethan chased purpose. He wasn't interested in impressing anyone. At 16, he'd save up his pocket money to buy books. While his classmates mocked him for being boring, he was reading about mindset, money, habits, and business. He had a cheap phone with a cracked screen and wore secondhand clothes, but his mind was rich, and deep down, he knew his time would come. At 18, Ethan launched his first online store. It was a disaster. He lost most of his savings. There was no backup plan, no mentor, no cheering squad, but also no post saying, "I failed." He went quiet, regrouped, and learned. While his friends took selfies at clubs and posted quotes like, "Rise and grind," Ethan was actually grinding, in silence. He got a part-time job during the day and taught himself coding and marketing at night. For 2 years, he failed, learned, adjusted, and repeated. No noise, no drama, just quiet progress. At 20, he launched a small digital agency with 0 followers, no investors, and no hype. He pitched small businesses in his local area, sent out hundreds of cold emails, and often got ignored. But a few said yes, and that was enough. Slowly, clients started coming in. He didn't celebrate. He didn't post his first client story on Instagram. He kept his head down and worked. While others were still faking a lifestyle on borrowed time, Ethan was quietly building something real. He moved out of his neighborhood, rented a small flat, and reinvested every single pound back into his business. No designer shoes, no fancy watches, no money flex pictures. At 22, Ethan's agency was generating enough money to make him financially independent. But still, silence. He knew the game wasn't about being seen. It was about being secure. He began investing in stocks, in startups, and most importantly, in himself. People from his old life began to notice he had changed. "He must be into something shady," they whispered. "Why doesn't he show what he's doing?" they asked. But Ethan never responded, because he had learned one simple rule. The more you show, the more you invite opinions. But the less they know, the better you grow. He started waking up at 5 a.m., journaling his thoughts, working out without posting about it, learning new skills without seeking praise. While others were chasing likes, he was chasing freedom. He had tasted what peace felt like. The kind of peace that comes when you know you don't owe anyone an explanation. And he wasn't giving that up for a few virtual claps. One day he ran into an old friend from high school. The guy was dressed in brands, full of energy, talking about making moves and living large. He asked Ethan, "So what are you up to these days? You disappeared, man." Ethan simply smiled and said, "Just working on a few things here and there." The friend laughed and said, "Man, if I was making money like you, I'd be flexing hard. You're too quiet." Ethan nodded and replied with a smirk, "That's why I'll always be ahead." That moment captured everything. The world loves noise. It rewards attention, not depth. But real winners, they don't need to shout. Their results speak for them. Ethan understood that if you're truly focused on building a great life, you won't have time to show it off. You'll be too busy doing the work. At 25, Ethan owned 3 profitable businesses, had investments across multiple industries, and was mentoring a few young men who reminded him of himself. Still no bragging, no spotlight, just quiet influence. He wasn't trying to be famous. He was trying to be free. That's the difference. He could afford the best cars, the most expensive vacations, but he didn't care. The goal was never to impress. It was to evolve, to become someone his younger self would be proud of, and most importantly, to become the kind of man his future family could depend on. One night, while sitting on his balcony overlooking the city, he wrote something in his journal. Real power is silent. Lions don't need to tell the jungle they're kings. The jungle already knows. That one sentence defined everything he stood for. Ethan's story isn't about getting rich young. It's about playing the long game. It's about building something real in a world addicted to fake. It's about understanding that silence is a weapon, and those who master it move differently. So if you're reading this and you feel behind, unseen, or ignored, remember this. Success is not a performance. It's a personal journey. You don't need to post your every move. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. Just keep building in silence. Let them laugh now. Let them doubt you. Let them assume you're doing nothing. And when the time is right, let your results speak so loud that they can't hear anything else. That's the art of quiet success. That's how real legends are made.